very, very inexpensive, like it should be. It doesn't cost much more than tomatoes to grow in a legal environment, really. And so it's something that's, you know, the economies of scale and just, you know, to grow the best medicine out there, which is, you know, the sicker you get, the more you need the top-notch stuff, because you don't want to be smoking pot all day long. You just want to take a little hit and ease the pain, right? Right. So, you know, their programs, well, some people find that they work for them, really, they're vastly inefficient. And there's a lot of illusions about it. And I'm going to tell you a story today that really combines a lot of these various factors, because a member of the Cannabis Buyers Club, Kevin, thought, well, I'm on disability now. You know, I used to have all the money in the world when I was working, but that's just not happening anymore. So he needs medicine. He's getting a limited income. So what makes sense? Well, like, let's start up a little grow-off, right? You know, when you're getting just over $600 a month, as many people here know, you have a choice between food or pot. And it's sort of one or the other. You don't get the best of both worlds for 30 days in the month. So, you know, starting up less than 40 plants seemed quite reasonable. When he went to his doctor's like, you know, I realize it's good for you and I support you and all that, but I don't want to sign the forms right now because my insurance company might not be happy with me. So you know, I don't want them looking after my file or how many drugs I prescribe or anything like that. So we'll sign it if you get in trouble. But don't worry about it, I'm there for you. Unfortunately, Kevin did get in trouble through no fault of his own. The police showed up to deal with something with his roommate, actually. And so when they saw a few signs that people were growing there, they called for a warrant. Kevin called me up when I was working, actually, to ask what to do, because he wasn't sure. And it might not have been the best thing to do, but in some ways I think it was. He came to the police, told them that it was his, partly so they didn't charge his roommate. And he tried to tell them, look, I'm growing it medically. If you want, we'll chop it all down now, and I'll get a license, and I'll show it to you later. You know, something like that. But the police wouldn't buy it. In fact, the Langford RCMP went so far as to condemn his house. The Langford City Council has passed bylaws that make it so that if you've been caught with a grow-off, you've not only got to get your house clean, but it's got to be inspected by the city, and you've got to pay for the police costs. So the bill that Kevin's landlady got included 5 hours of 5 police officers cleaning up less than 40 plants. I don't know how much the fines were. I think it was less than $1,000, but the cleanup costs are also in the thousands of dollars. I think to pay for the police, the bylaws, and the cleanup, it's around $5,000. Because Kevin tried to grow his own medicine. He tried to do it legally. His doctor wouldn't help. He figured when the shit went down, he'd go to his doctor, right? Well, no, his doctor's like, no, man, I'm not signing this form. You're in trouble. I'm not getting in trouble too. So Kevin's left entirely hung to dry by his doctor. His landlady's really nice. His landlady wants to help him. She would have cooperated a bit more with him if she knew what was going on. But Kevin didn't think that it was that big of a deal, in part because he wasn't even growing in the house, he was growing in the garage. And he still got kicked out of his house. He's still not back in yet. And so his landlady's willing to let him come back in. She doesn't want him to be homeless now or ever. She wants to help him, she's sympathetic. But she's got a lot of costs to pay now. She can't afford that. Her life's been put through hell. Kevin's roommate's been kicked out too, for doing nothing more than letting Kevin set up a few plants in the garage. So it's just one nightmare on top of another. I don't know if they'll ever figure out how much it's costing financially. They'll never, ever be able to recover from the stress in some sense, and the anxiety that this has caused, to be sure. And I really commend Kevin and his landlady Sherry for coming forward and speaking out against this, because it's something that without these stories going public and people talking about what's happened to them, it's really hard for the public to see, you know, how these laws compound upon each other and just cause misery on top of misery. And if we legalize this plant in facilities like ours, you know, we're able to provide it at such a low cost, people wouldn't bother growing it themselves. And the rest of you is just bought it at your local stores if you didn't want to grow it yourselves. We'd be living in a much better world, financially, physically, emotionally, in every sense. It's very frustrating to not only have Health Canada's programs be so backwards and asinine as to leave sick people like Kevin out in the cold, but the federal Conservatives want to have mandatory minimum sentences for people growing 5 plants or more if it's for sale. Now, if Kevin gets convicted, he won't face these mandatory minimums because he didn't get charged with possession for the purpose of trafficking. If he had, he would be facing potentially 9 months because there's an extra 3 months if it's in a residence. There doesn't seem much in some ways we can do about this because the laws are almost passed. However, we have been for months now organizing a phone jam trying to call up the senators in Ottawa and shut down their offices in essence to let them know that we completely disagree with this.
You want a hand?
So I'm going to pass these both right.
Want me to go around
So we got a 1-800 number. It doesn't cost anything but some time. Just let these people in Ottawa know that real lives are being affected. That we can't afford these new laws. But these new laws are essentially going to be giving organized crime, the market here, because small mom-and-pop growers are going to get out of the business, and the only people growing are going to be those that are desperate enough to do it in somebody else's house. And it's a really scary idea to think that people growing 5 plants or more can be spending such a long time in jail. And so I'm going to come to our 42 seconds of silence here. But I just wanted to finish saying that to tie it all up, this year our silent art auction is going to be entirely donated to Kevin and his landlady to help pay for all of the court costs and police costs and everything that have happened from his raid. We're very, in a way, feel quite lucky to be in a position where we don't need the money and we can extend the help to people that are caught in these sort of extraordinary circumstances. So as each year goes by, we're going to donate our art auction to one situation or another. And if we do it well and get enough cities and places around BC and eventually Canada and the world, we may be able to raise significant funds for legal defense causes as each year goes by. And so next year, things are going to be a little different because our newsletter, if you want to come grab the Cannabis Digest, it's right up here, is turning into a newspaper. We're going to be able to advertise all of our events and stuff a lot more starting in January actually. So things are really within the next year with our art auction, with the buyers clubs opening up and down the island and various things that we're doing, things are really going to pick up. But there's still some more things I want to talk to you folks about that's happening in our next event and stuff. But it's about time for our 42 seconds of silence. Every time we gather, we have 42 seconds that we put aside for the victims of the drug war. In particular, we think about those that are sitting in jail right now because they broke this law for one reason or another. You know, on one end, you got people like Mark Emery and David Levine. You know, they're just really aggressive people in some sense, but you know, it takes people like that to get the job done and crack the nut. Could say here, but it's something that they are sitting in jail right now, knowing that this event is going on. There are many other sort of people, whether they were just growing for themselves or selling it, or in many cases in the United States, there are certainly many activists sitting in jail right now, Dana Beal and others. And so for all those that are sitting in jail, in particular for those that are using or need medical marijuana, because I don't know how many millions are in jail in the States right now, I don't like to think of that number, but I can guarantee you that there's hundreds of thousands of people in jail in North America right now that have hepatitis C or arthritis or diabetes or some medical problem, and they're not getting any cannabis today. For all those people sitting in jail because of this herb, 42 seconds of silence, please, starting in 3, 2, 1.